Around horses, there's typically only two flies you need to deal with. The first one is the plain old housefly. It's the same fly that you got in your kitchen. It's the same fly that's in the barn. It is the fly you'll find on the face of your horses. They could be anywhere on the horse, but they're primarily going to be on the face. They typically represent about 80% of your fly population. The second fly that you have is the biting stable fly. This looks like a housefly, but it bites, whereas a housefly can't bite. Now this fly is a blood feeder, so you're going to find it on the forelegs and the flanks of your horses. If you've got horses stomping and twitching, then you have biting stable flies. Simple rules are, have you got biters or botherers? Okay, a botherer is a housefly, a biter is a stable fly. For botherers, houseflies, you have two kinds of traps. One is an odor trap. Those are the kinds that you add water to and they stink and they will draw the houseflies, but not stable flies, in from a large area. The other kind of trap for houseflies is a sticky trap. The sticky fly trap will catch the flies that happen to be there, but they won't bring more to the barn. Now it's important you put these two kinds of traps in the right spot. The odor traps you want to use to lure flies away from your barn and away from your back door. The most common mistake we see is people hang these things right in the middle of their barn, right over their horse, and they're actually making it much worse. You're catching lots of flies, but you're catching lots of flies because you're bringing even more flies in than you would have had if you didn't have that trap there. So if you want to put that trap 100 feet away, 150 feet away, and take flies to a place you don't care they go. In the barn, you still will have some flies, and what you want to use is a sticky fly trap. You need to put a sticky fly trap where there's some light, typically up high so the horses don't mess with it, but they will work effectively down low as long as the horses won't disturb it. So sticky traps in the barn and odor traps away from the barn and away from your back door. The attractant in a housefly trap is not of interest to a biting stable fly. So you need a completely different trap. Put that trap out in the sun, and light reflecting through the material causes kind of a shimmer effect like a mirage, and that mirage looks like something that's warmer than the ambient temperature, and that generally means it's a mammal and there's blood there, so let's head there. So that particular fly is attracted to this trap, and it's a sticky trap, so when it gets there it flies right into it and gets stuck on it. You put it outside the corral in an area that the horses can't mess with it, or if you need to put it in the pasture, put a wire fence, at least a couple feet away from it, and down low within 2 to 3 feet of the ground, because that fly flies low because it's primarily going to be biting the legs of animals. Odor traps are the ones that you'd add liquid to. The odor traps that we like for house flies are star bars, and they have 3 different kinds of disposables and a reusable trap. The one nice thing about star bar is they have the best attractant. It's got 3 feed scents and a sex pheromone, and it works almost instantly, so it's very attractive from the get-go. And all these odor traps use the same very, very effective bait. The most common and most popular are disposables, and perhaps the most common that you've seen are the bag traps. The particular bag trap that we sell from the Star Bar line is their giant one, which is much bigger than you typically find in the retail stores. It's called a giant fly relief. You have a tube of attractant inside, so you just break that through the outer plastic. You don't even have to touch it, and then fill it to the line with water. This trap has to be hung, put it away from your animals. You're using this trap to draw flies away. If it's cool, you want to put this trap in the sun. Flies are cold-blooded. They're going to be in a warm place. But likewise, if it's hot, they don't want to get too hot, so you need to put it in the shade. Check it periodically. Once it's full of flies or water has evaporated, then you need to just throw it away. Put it upright in your garbage. You don't want to throw it upside down because the stuff will spill out and it will make your garbage can a big fly trap, and it's a mess to clean out. The second throwaway trap is the trap and toss. This is the trap that generally we would recommend if you're in a hot, dry area because the top is sealed. The water doesn't evaporate so fast. If you're using fly predators, you generally don't have many flies. You're just getting the occasional flies that came in or that fly predators might have missed. So you might not need to replace this trap but once a summer. And if you use the open bag fly traps, they're probably going to dry up. So this trap will keep the moisture in there much, much longer than an open trap. This is the disposable trap that you would put on the ground. The other bag trap you have to hang up. The milk jug trap uses the same very effective Star Bar attractant for houseflies. You're going to want to put this away from your animals. Never put it in the barn or by your back door, so you're using this trap to draw flies away. These traps you typically are going to just set on the ground. That's why the 1 gallon is better, because it's going to be sturdier, particularly if it's windy. You could hang it up if you had to by the handle. One nice thing about the milk jug trap, you get 2 of these bottle tops that go on a milk jug. So for not much more than the price of a single disposable trap, you actually have 2 different traps and you can put them in 2 different locations. It is an effective and very low-cost trap that is ecological because you're reusing an old milk jug. You know, you're just throwing the milk jug away with the dead flies and reusing this trap. The Starbar Terminator Pro is the Porsche of fly traps. In a study of housefly traps, this thing caught 13,000 flies. The next best trap caught under 3,000 flies, and mini traps caught 200 to 300. It works really effectively for a couple reasons. It first uses the very effective Starbar attractant, which has 3 feed scents and a sex pheromone, compared to most other competitors that have 1 feed scent. It also has a clear 1 gallon plastic bottle, so it's clear and the flies can see that other flies are in there very effectively. But the real secret of it is it's got a baffle design that once a fly gets down and in this trap, it never comes out. They don't like darkness. So they'll crawl down into something if they can see light, but this trap is baffled, so when they look up, they just see black and they can't see light through this. Well, they never go to the top. They stay on the sides and they just get in the trap, can't get out, and run out of energy and die. This trap is a very effective trap. It's a little more expensive than the disposables, but you can reuse it. When it gets full of flies, you just dump it out. Don't rinse it out. Dead old flies are stinking too, and they help attract even more flies. This trap you can hang or you can set on the ground, and it's the most effective trap out there. For in your barn or by your back door or by your picnic table, the trap that we would recommend is the Easy Trap. This is a sticky trap, and it will get the flies that happen to be in the area, but it won't bring more to the area. Now, it attracts flies by its color. It's yellow. It attracts flies by its shape, and it's more effective than fly coils because it's a more stable surface. This trap can be rinsed off. Once it gets full of dust and bugs, just hose it off and reuse it a few times. You can put it up high or down low, but flies are going to be attracted to it by light, and flies don't like going into dark corners. So typically put it where there's some light. You could put one hung over each stall if you want, just high enough that the horse can't reach it, or put it by the barn or the breezeway. Put them in a spot that the horses can't get to them, but where the flies are, and in the case of the sticky traps, you need to put them where there's some light. So typically you're going to need a housefly odor trap. You use that to draw flies away. You need a housefly sticky trap. That's the one that you put in the barn to get the flies that are there but won't bring more flies to the barn. And then you need a biting stable fly trap. You'll put that outside in the sunlight. Every trap we sell is the highest performance trap for its type, and it's caught, hundreds of millions, if not billions of flies already by the time you bought it.